What is lost in the kingdom does not escape the king. A persistent question echoes in the hearts of those with insight. Why are noble souls tested with marginalization? Why is material provision delayed as if they are being pushed to the edges of life? The answer is not in a lack of sustenance, but in the wisdom of divine planning. It is a trial that prepares the seeker for the station of steadfastness. A pure soul is not tested because it is weak, but because it has the capacity for divine manifestation. When a chosen one is ignored, it actually exposes the flaws of those doing the ignoring. Denial begins to eat away at them, and your silence becomes a mirror that disturbs their sleep. The weight of injustice. We do not view what happened as merely a material crime, but as a stage of spiritual refinement. In the psychology of morality, injustice weighs heavier on the oppressor than on the oppressed. The oppressor crumbles from within when they see the victim remaining steadfast, silent, and upright. Wisdom tells us, nothing was withheld from you except to manifest your need for him. What was delayed was only delayed so it could return to you doubled. Whatever is built on deception will inevitably crack before the truth. Stay firm and do not speak much. Silent uprightness is a fortress, and whoever is under God's protection cannot have their sanctity violated. The scales have been set, and justice is in motion, even if it appears slow to the eye. The stolen inheritance. Those who loved you left something great behind. A grandmother saw a loyalty in your care that is never forgotten. A grandfather saw a sign in you that insight cannot miss. A relative recognized your uniqueness and entrusted you with the foundation for a dignified start. Be it a house, money, a trust, or what sustains a life and builds a future. However, those who gained access saw an opportunity instead of a responsibility. The trust was displaced, and what was gifted to you was diverted to others. As you built from nothing, sensing a void that stories couldn't explain, you watched their fortunes change while questions were shut in your face. Even curiosity was labeled as greed. Yet, your soul did not accept their version of events. Something inside you knew. You felt the anxiety when inheritance was mentioned and read the confusion when the subject changed. You understood that evasion is the language of those who hide. They almost convinced you that you were imagining things, but insight does not deceive. What is written for you, God will not forget. The divine balance. Resources may be taken, but your spiritual station remains. An earthly inheritance may be obstructed, but a spiritual inheritance cannot be touched. Now the scales are balancing. God's planning works in unseen ways. What was taken without right begins to demand its price. Not because you asked for it, but because once justice moves, it does not stop. Someone crossed the line, taking what wasn't theirs and violating the peace. They thought tracking you was strength and gathering secrets was protection. But what they gathered became a curse, and what they sent out returned to them. Whoever attacks one who is under the shadow of divine protection will find their own boundaries shattered and their peace lost. We learn from the wisdom of fate. Those who transgress are consumed, and those who persevere are elevated. The fabricated myth. They crafted a perfect story, a tale designed to show you as unstable, untrustworthy, and unworthy. This wasn't just idle gossip. It was a manufactured myth built around your image. They took fragments of truth and distorted them until they became unrecognizable. They turned human vulnerabilities into weapons, making your moments of struggle look like brokenness, and your seasons of healing look like instability. They called your clarity recklessness, your sharp wit madness, and your legitimate responses to their nonsense moodiness. Every defense you offered was used as evidence against you. This story didn't spread by accident. It was an organized campaign. Doubts were planted first with relatives. Then friendly warnings were given to friends and colleagues. Even those who intended to approach you had their ears filled with poison before they ever saw you with their own eyes. It was a precise, quiet system aimed at destroying your reputation before you even knew you were a target. The falling mask. The danger lay in mixing falsehood with truth. Context was removed, details were missing, and intentions were erased. They presented your worst moment as if it were your whole life. With theatrical skill, they wore the mask of the victim, playing the role of the concerned friend or the relative who tried but failed. They shed tears over your condition while being the very cause of your pain. People believe them because their certainty seems solid. However, false narratives require constant maintenance. The truth stands still and firm without effort, but a lie requires constant reminding, repetition, and the synchronization of versions. Everyone must stay on the same page, and no one is allowed to look too closely or ask deep questions. That exhaustion is what is starting to show now. The story is weakening, and the door to questions is opening. The life of the accuser does not embody the virtue they claim, and those who speak too much of others often have the most to hide.